Glasses. I need glasses. Edwin, how are you? Well, I was going to type that in. I'm going to be right back. I gotta get some glasses. I'm going to be right back. Oh, I didn't, I didn't lock things up. I'm using the wrong camera, aren't I? I'm going to try to switch cameras here because it looks like I'm using my computer camera. Yes, I am. Let's try this one. Yeah, wow. It even gives a closer a zoom in, kind of. How interesting. Huh. Edwin, how are you doing? I just saw you on the last stream on Stafford's. Nobody else went live, and I thought, well, I'll just go live in case there's a few East Coasters still up at this wee hour, and maybe some West Coasters. So I don't know. I got the idea of the Blue Hour when I was younger, and we played dances when I was in high school and earlier out of high school, and sometimes by the time we'd get packed up and get ready, we'd always go out and eat afterwards, and sometimes the pizza parlors would be closing up by the time we got done or something. But the Chinese restaurants always were open, so. Uh, They were open till like in the old days. All the Chinese restaurants were open till like 3 in the morning, and we were underage, so we couldn't go into the bars. But we would still go out sometimes and have Chinese. So I anyway, for something about that, after we got done playing, it was a dark Chinese restaurant environment, and I always thought it just seemed. I always thought it was the Blue Hour for some reason. So I don't know. Did I just hear on that last stream, Edwin, that you have a new video out that maybe I haven't seen? I'm not sure if I can. I don't know if I can look it up from here. Oh, I'm stuck. Okay, I don't know. Let's go to YouTube. See what that says. I think I'm losing my internet connection. Hi, Meryl. How are you? I just thought I'd do a kind of a late night hang here since nobody else was doing it. And I thought, wow, it's Friday night. We ought to be doing something. Can you guys hear me okay? Am I coming through? Oh, okay. Okay. I was going to say I get so many notifications though, and I can miss them really easy. I'm looking at your videos just to make sure I didn't miss one. I don't remember. It looks like Final Time is your last one. I don't know that I saw that. I'll have to look it up. Okay, good. I'm playing really quietly because I know with StreamYards it sometimes gets weird on me. Whatever I got for an amp model, I got a lot of reverb on it. I'm playing something I haven't really played in a while. This is a 2006 anniversary model for Fender for their 60th anniversary. And whoa, well, now it's worth less now. I kind of regret having bought it. It's one of those, and I can never remember what they do. It's got the push button thing right in the middle of the volume, and it puts things, I don't know what it does. I'm not technically minded. It put things in series or in parallel. It sounds better with the button not pushed, in my opinion. And even when you're driving it, you push that button, everything, I guess maybe out of phase or something, but it sounds out of phase. I got that feel. I don't know that I do or not. I hardly ever play strats anymore, mostly because of arthritis. I can't do that. I can't do much of a stretch. You know, I can do that for like 10 seconds and then, yeah, I hope I have feel because I don't have any technique. So I, uh, I've never been good with a pick, and even when I did, they would just. I probably had arthritis much younger than I knew I did, but it would go flying across the room. I'd keep 5 picks around, and they would all go flying one by one. So because when I was a younger person, I played bass as well as guitar. I just when playing bass, you can't even do that anymore. So I just got used to finger, and I did folk stuff back in the late '60s. I did a lot of folk, you know, kind of country picking, but not really not like fast, good country picking. Well, there we go. I just drug this out, and I'm out of tune already. Wow, I'm way out of tune. Vanzini's tuning channel. It's not reading it for some reason. Yeah, technique wise, I know I hear people talk about all the different. I look at like teachers on YouTube and I just get confused and I don't do modes or anything like that. I basically do minor pentatonic and major pentatonic and that's it. And major scale. I do, if the song calls for it and there's a melody, like I do, every year I do a little bit of Christmas jazz kind of stuff, and that requires, requires you to relearn the same songs every year. And so you got to use that major scale kind of stuff. And so I throw a major scale, but that's the only three. I I I don't. The only thing I ever learned from Joe Pass, because he was so good, was that he said, "I don't do modes. I don't do no modes." And he said, you know, if the melody, if I'm playing like a C ninth and the melody calls for the 9 note, I'll do a little arpeggio. It's Friday night and you still have beer. Anyway, Joe would do just an arpeggio from like the root to the 9 note, something like that, you know, half stepping in. And that's about the best I can do. So I'll do a partial scale or something. But I'm not, and boy, I'm not. I know chord theory better than I know music theory. Yeah, you end up kind of doing some modes whether you want to, or not thinking of them as modes, just kind of playing a partial scale or partial notes. Hit everything nowadays. I kind of agree, Edwin. Yeah, I just always tried to capture some sort of feel in a song. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. My next video that I have coming out here in a couple days will show how it sometimes just doesn't work. Chief Dan George in the movie Little Big Man said something like, "Sometimes the magic works, sometimes it doesn't." I see we've had a third person join, it says now, so whoever you may be, please feel free to join in. Enough of the blues, huh? Anyway, I always kind of do a pre-show of a guitar I'm going to do, and this is a 2006 60th anniversary Strat. If I was going to do it again, I would buy just a straight Stratocaster without that little push button. I don't even remember what it does. But I would, you don't push it in. It's just a regular Strat. It sounds just fine. So as far as I can tell, but and I don't think I have a Strat with a humbucker in it. I think I would like that, even though I kind of, my religion tells me that's wrong. So you're working on a couple songs? Yeah. I just do, when I do videos and I have those little 30, 45 set, maybe 1 minute, 1 minute introductions, I just jam for like 4 or 5 minutes and then um, find 30 or 45 seconds that I can cut and use as an intro, and then cut away all the rest of it because there's tons and tons of mistakes. And one thing I do like about this that they don't do on enough Fenders, but even way back in 2006, locking tuners. Hippies asked me a number of times. My problem is I've got just enough arthritis. If I'm doing one of my backing tracks or something, I play okay for about a minute and a half to 2 minutes. And sometimes I just have a knuckle that'll just collapse and bend. And so if I get away with 2 minutes, I'm doing pretty good. And he would like a 3 to 4 minute sort of song, preferably. I don't know if I can hold up. The ones I got coming out are all kind of bloopers that are something went wrong one way or another while I was recording, and I was trying to do, this was back a few days back. I was trying to come up with jams as an intro to a video for another guitar, and everything I did was wrong. I mean, the camera was, well, you'll see it. Hopefully you'll see it. The camera was crooked. I left the fan on, and there was a ton of fan noise. And then finally, when I finally got everything right, I use Canon cameras when I record my videos, and I'm a Nikon guy, but I was told these were great for recording early video. So if you're beginning in video, kind of. And somewhere along the line, I got into the menu, and I guess I pushed black. There's a button in there to change the color or to take the color. Somewhere along there, I turned it to black and white. So, which as a photographer, I love black and white, but for video, that's what I'm talking about. I just mishit notes more and more now as I get older with more arthritis. Oh, well, thank you, Meryl. I just read the second half of there. You love my playing style. It's real simple style. I mean, I use minor pentatonic. That's the minor. That would mean the major is just a step and a half above that. Right. So that's all You're double jointed. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Because things become kind of more flexible in a bad kind of way. Yeah. I was talking with somebody a while back, and they were saying, well, who was my influence? And I didn't know who my influence was because we didn't know here in the States back I was a kid in the 60s, right? But the people I heard and listened to from the 60s and, well, there was a band in the Pacific Northwest called the Wailers, and they did a song. My older brother's band played it. Almost a lot of bands did, and we did it later too. Where we did a kind of a version called San Jose. I just loved that song for some reason, and a couple of others. And then in the later '60s, John Mayall came out with the Beano album. Yeah, I think. Yeah, Merrill. I think we're. I think Arvin, how are you, sir? I think Merrill, we're all in that boat as we get older that we're just trying to get along. I used to love to play that acoustic folk kind of. I couldn't. Acoustics now, man alive, they kill my fingers. They just kill my fingers. So I don't even try. Why not? Hello, sir. And Arvin, welcome. I have a little Fender that I play when I want to just fool it. Well, I have a couple of. I keep them down by the TV, so when ads come on, I can mess around. But it's a little Fender. It's called a Malibu, and it's a real small body acoustic with a cutaway, an electronics pack. I need to do a show and tell on that. And it's got a neck it's like a Stratocaster neck. It's even got it's got a headstock like that too. And it doesn't sound the best by any means, but it plays. I can get around on that probably better than just about any acoustic. Yeah. Yeah, I think everything I've seen from I think from Edward and Merrill and Arvin, I don't know. Do you put out content, Arvin? I don't remember. I know you're over with Fender Guru all the time. I don't know that I ever found your. Yeah, I don't think I ever found your channel. I think I'm subscribed to. Why not? I try to kind of subscribe to everybody. I can't always, everybody's I think like that. I try to watch some videos every day of somebody and try to vary it so everybody. Why not? You are in the last few letters of the alphabet, bud. You're way down here. Yeah, I'm subscribed to you. There we go. Martin from Austria, how are you, sir? Oh, Martin, that is so cool. That is very cool. You're gonna give it to him as a birthday present. Yeah. Gosh, that's neat. I did that a while back with I had I can't even tell you what it was. It wasn't a Strat. It was a Jaguar or a Jazzmaster Squire, and I gave it to. He's not my nephew. He's my nephew's cousin, my sister-in-law's nephew. Anyway, for him to he's a really good musician. Anyway, I think I told that story last time out. But anyway, yeah, I just thought everybody needs a guitar, and he was kind of getting. You've got all your tools to sharpen it up. What? Yeah. Um, I don't know the different types of Squires, the Affinity and the other types. and I hear people talking about doing work on them, and then I hear other people say, "Oh man, it was just, you know, great right out of the box." You're seven. Where are you at? Wow, that's a long ways. That's like, yeah, I'm terrible at turning kilometers into miles. I can never remember. Would that be 800 and some miles, or kilometers? 1 kilometer is less than a mile, I think. Oh, I don't think live content's necessary at all. I just do live because it's something to kind of do if I'm not booked up doing something else. Oh, Vienna. Okay. I thought that's where you were from. Huh. Yeah, I hear some people just get Squires and they say they're great, and I never know which level of Squire is which anymore. So I don't have any. I have a bass guitar that's a Squire that some kid, a high school kid, converted to a Fender. He did a really good job. He swapped out the pickups. He said the new pickups were about 200 bucks for the set. It's like a It's called the Jaguar bass. And he put $200 worth of pickups. He put a decal on it. He made it look very Fenderish, but it's a Squire because it's got the Squire plate on the back still. And then he was going to college and needed money, so he sold it for 150 with the original pickups as well. So I grabbed it. Oh, okay. Wow. I have to get my map out and study my world geography more. It's been a lot of years. My apologies. That happens all the time. That means I'll reset that. This is what happens when you get old. That's a reminder that I need to take my nighttime meds. If I don't, I'll get yelled at later. So. Yeah, I never know what to look at in the way. Of course, I don't need. I got way too much Fender product anyway. And, um, yeah, why not? Pretty much. I'll show you what I realized years ago that I just really struggled holding on to a pick, and in the old days, you'd shove them down in your pick guard and have five of them there, and every few minutes one would go flying, and I just didn't have that. As a bass player, I used one of those white Dunlop picks, I think it's actually a banjo pick, but we used them for bass. And then I could use these three fingers for doing that if I wanted to use a pick on a song. If I didn't, I would use thumb and fingers on bass. Anyway, so I just kind of did that, and then years later, I knew that that big thumb pick was not going to work for guitar if I wanted to use a pick. So I went to shaving and grinding down. In the old days, we burn them, and of course they put off toxic fumes. But I would take that Dunlop thumb pick and burn it. Now I grind them and burn it down, and then take a regular pick. It's kind of cool because, like, I think this pick, this is one of the lighter ones. This is like a 6.66 or something like that, or 0.76 or something. And then I glue it down into the, and it really fits snug. And I just have, because it's glued, that tip, it doesn't feel like a, well, this one's coming undone, but it doesn't feel like a, Andrew, good, let me think now, it's 10:30 my time. Good evening. Anyway, so this pick, it feels much harder than a 0.68 or whatever it is. So the Chris Broderick pick clip, really? I got to remember that. I got to look that up. Okay, I've not seen that or heard of it. Yeah, guess from, we have, this is just, to me, it's been old, I think it was like my dad, because he didn't grow up with TV, and so when we had TV, he was always looking in my youth, looking for a channel to pick up, and we lived out in a small town, far away from any big city, kind of an agricultural town, and so we were always looking for the station. And when we moved to the west side of Washington and Oregon, of course, then we could get all sorts of state. But he was always on the hunt for a station, and to me, there's some quality of that with my Roku box and with the internet and doing live streams. I mean, we have me from Oregon, little old me from Salem, Oregon, and Andrew from New Zealand, and Martin from Austria, and people from all over the place. And it's just, it's a wonderment. It's truly a wonderment. Next week, next Saturday, Andrew, I'm on a new computer. I'm not sure I even know how to look at a calendar. That would be not this Saturday, not. I will have to look, but I think so. I think you're talking about, for you, the 20th. Does that sound about right? And Arvin, yeah, you're from Canada. That's right. I forgot. I do miss the old. I do miss the old thing where you could click on the side and say go to person's channel, and then I could. I am going to. I don't know what I'm going to do. Wow, Arvin, I looked for you a couple weeks ago and couldn't find you anywhere. Yeah, I will look that up. I don't have. I'll have to look, but I think that's fine, Andrew. It's official. I hate Windows 10. Arvin, are the videos with the with Doug Norquay? I'm subscribing. I hope that's you. It's the only one I see. Okay, I just subbed up. I always think we have interesting names, but boy, you guys really have some. You're in. I'm going to mispronounce it. Gulf, Mississauga. Well, it's not far off. I'm here in Oregon. We don't have too many. Our names are, Salem, Portland, Albany, Eugene. Pretty simple, basic, mostly. My home state, where I was born, is Washington, and we have a lot of. I don't actually. I didn't go to. I'm guessing Native American, Snohomish and stuff like that. Guelph. Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I love the effects in that. It's basically a GT 100 built into a little practice amp with a looper. It's got all sorts of different features on it, but yeah, I'm guessing most everybody has seen it. I'll show it here. It's called the Boss E-Band, and I would not buy one new because I just know they have to be coming out with a new version of it because this is their new version, and it's I don't remember now, 7 or 8 years old. But you can put backing. It has comes with a ton of backing tracks, and then if you make your own backing tracks, you can put them. I'm going to screw this up. You can put them. Well, you know what a thumb drive looks like. Why am I showing you? Put them on a thumb drive and put them in there. And it's got lots of. It's basically a Boss GT 100, which was kind of like a Line 6 had one too. I don't remember the model number on the Line 6, but I just always kind of went with Boss because I like the sound of some of their pedals as fake pedals. Oh, Richie Kotzen was recommending the Boss E-bands. Really interesting because he's a sponsor guy of the Fly Rig. If people haven't seen the Fly Rig, I'm going to screw something up here. I know that for a fact. Well, how weird. I just saw it here the other day. Oh yeah, there it is. It's made by Tech 21. I love Tech 21 products. I have a couple of their power engines. They were one of the first amp emulator people out there. But a fly rig is just a foot pedal. And, you know, it'll actually fit if you have a hard shell, like a hard shell Fender case, it'll actually fit in that little accessory box. You had the fly rig, Andrew? Yeah. Oh, you had to give it back. Yeah. My experience with them is they don't sound so great going through a, you know, a little, nothing much does, going through a little practice amp or anything like that. I have a Vox AC10 that I dearly love and a couple of small Fender little tubey amps. And it sounds pretty darn good going through that. And it's got a delay, and it's got the Sans amp, which kind of mimics a Fender amp clean with some overdrive. And then it's got the plexi thing, and then it's got even something on top of that, like a, I don't remember, it's been so long since um, it's got like a super boost, super hot boost. But they're so small, and they give you so much in such a, now the downside is, if you got big feet like I do, it's really easy to miss-hit this and get it. I think you could break one of these pretty easy, I would think. Not, but I haven't, so anyway, they're just great, and they're passive. With the passive, so they don't make a big clunk sound when you click. Yeah, yeah, these are pretty good. Anyway, Richie Costin has his own version of this, which is a kind of a higher gain version, which is hard. I've never played one. It's hard to believe. How do you get this thing is really high gain, so um, you had to give it back. What a shame. Yeah, I just love. I kind of collect. I collect too much stuff. I collect. I don't have that many pedals, but I collect multi effects. I love multi effects, and most of the multi effects, the drives, I'm not real big on at all. But all the other effects, the reverbs and the delays and all that stuff, chorus and stuff, are generally pretty good. Hi, Hippie. How you doing? Brian Harvey. There's a new name, or is it? Well, holy smokes, Andrew. They're $500 there. Uh, well, hi Gussie. How you doing? I don't know how much they are here now. They may have gone up, but I bought mine very early on, and I'm thinking it was just, for some reason, I'm thinking it was like $219 or something like that when they first came out. Yeah, Hippie, I have that a lot for some, like on yours, if you do that advertisement thing saying watch Metalhead Hippie coming up on Sunday, you know, that shows up in my feed so I know it's coming. And then sometimes things will show up in my notifications, but it takes it forever. Well, on live streams, it won't show up in my subscriptions till the live stream is over and been processed, and then 13 hours later it'll say Metalhead Hippie has a new video in my subscription. So um, you guys got good orchards. That's what I need to do. I need to go out and get out of the house and do some more. I haven't gone for a drive here for a couple of weeks, so we haven't. Well, we went shopping and that sort of stuff, but um, um, we're really trying not to go out now because all of a sudden here in Oregon we've just super spiked, where we broke the record for the most number of new cases 3 or 4 times in the last week. So wine country up. Are you? Why not? Are you talking about in Canada? Wine country or here in Oregon? There's a lot of wineries around. Man, they're everywhere. If I just drive south of here, I pass two of them. And yes, the mosquitoes are coming. I didn't get him. I can still hear him somewhere. Yeah, these are cool lights. They come with these really cheap, but you get two of them. Really cheap. These are off of Amazon. I can still hear that sucker. He's behind me now. Oh, there he is. There he is. Oh, I just felt him. Yeah, we just spiked. We just broke our record for one day of new cases. Most number of new cases, 3 or 4 times in the last week. But Hippie, I kind of doubt it. I was telling people before you got here that I have just enough arthritis that I play about 1.5 to 2 minutes before one of my knuckles will do something, or I'll just miss hit notes and go to heck on it. That said, I do have a new video of bloopers coming out Sunday morning. I don't know if there's anything. They're like 5 and 6 minutes long. When I was telling, when I do videos, I just start jamming whatever it is, you know. And I get into it and play, and it's about 5 minutes long, and my goal is to find, 45 seconds to use as an intro to whatever guitar I'm playing when I'm doing a show and tell. And so I have some sort of intro out of that 4 or 5 minutes. So these are the 4 or 5 minute ones, mistakes included, and they're pretty sloppy. One's exceptionally bad, and so these were bloopers that yeah, everything went wrong. I had a camera crooked, and the fan, Hippie, you know all about the fan. This time it was the big fan in the window, and man, I had that baby cranked up, but I was just playing. And over the amp, of course, I couldn't hear it until I got done and thought, wait a minute, what is that? And it's like, oh boy, there's that dang fan again. So yeah, I haven't done any, I'm not real good of slide. Most of the slide work, I was sloppy with it. I was really struggled, and I tried like 4 or 5 times over my long lifetime to try to get good. Where I got a little better was I have a lap steel. And I got a little better before the arthritis kicked in using that, using it going this way. But let me tell you, and so I finally bought a special one that it's not just a metal bar, it has a handle on it so you can grip it pretty good. And I think it's a Shub, maybe, or something. I don't remember. I'll have to dig that out. And the tuning on those things, I don't even remember. It's been so long. It's like an E9 tuning or something. Sounds great. But anyway, now if I do that, I walk around for like a day. Especially on the left hand, on the slide hand, because you have to hold that slide in place. You go up and down. So Yeah, you're out in the country a little bit, Arvin. That's cool. I'm almost I'm almost out there. I'm kind of between. I'm south of Salem, but my downside is one of the major train yards is. I'm just taking a guess about a mile. Um, Couple miles. I don't know, somewhere around there. Boy, those trains, and I got tracks right on my street coming right through there. So it's quiet, except for twice a day. And there's tracks also because it's near the train yard. There's sets of tracks across the river, and yeah, hippie. Yeah, you'll get a. You might want. I started working on not every year, but many years. I do sort of a Christmas jazz thing, and and I'm never quite happy with my backing tracks, and so I thought I would this year just kind of start over from scratch, and if you're going to do a Christmas gig, you don't do it in November. You'll never get done. You have to start in July or August at the latest, and have it ready to go sometime in November to kind of get it out in around Thanksgiving time. And oh, Gussie, you're from Toronto also. Oh, cool, cool. Are you retired now, Gussie? Is that what I saw? Did I see that up there earlier? Retired. Okay, yeah. Ah, Deja Voodoo, welcome. Yeah, it's raining cats and dogs. It's June, and usually at this point we're 70 degrees, probably 65, 70, maybe cloudy, but not that much rain. We've really been getting a lot of rain. But we're headed into summer, Deja, and you're just about ready. You're just heading into winter, aren't you? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what summer's going to be like with no concerts. The town south of me has these. Gosh, I'm really going to miss them because they're free, and they're free in the park, and they have River Rhythms on Thursdays, which are usually pretty big name. They're all big names. And they're highly varied. Country and rock. I've seen Little Feat there, Richie Havens, Leo Kottke. I missed the Dixie Chicks. They actually signed the Dixie Chicks before they made it big, and by the time they got here, they were huge, and you couldn't get into the park anyway. So, but I've seen. Totally forgetting who I've seen. Pablo Cruz. A lot of them are bands, the Youngbloods. A lot of them are bands that were popular years ago that are kind of on the lower end circuit. But I mean, they're absolutely free concerts, and oh, the post Savoy Brown guys. Well, yeah, Foghat. Yeah, if you didn't take earmuffs, you have permanent damage. So, um, and they do that on Thursdays for about like 5 weeks every summer, and then in alternating Mondays they do the same thing, and it's local talent. And some of the local, and there's less people that show up. You can go have a picnic there, and it's really nice. Uh, and some of the local talent sometimes just blows me away. Yeah, local meaning from the West Coast mostly. Yes, there is some there's some bluegrass here in Oregon. I don't know much about it. I think we have a big, there's a, well, it's not just bluegrass. There's a roots music festival up in the Portland area for 3 days. And it's held on a farm. It's like a mini Woodstock every year. That's interesting. I'm laying my arm against the pickup and it's like it's causing distortion. Anyway, so yes, there's a lot of bluegrass here all the way over to Eastern Oregon, Andrew. And when you get into Idaho, uh, Weezer or Wiesner, that's the neck of the woods I was born in Washington. They have the big fiddle contest there. I think it's one of the big national, fiddle contests. Oh, the town further south of me, where the college is, Corvallis, has an all acoustic instruments store that carries like mandolins and guitars. I don't know if they're still. I don't know what's happened since I've been down there for a while, but yeah. So you do find some bluegrass and some a lot of country music, not bluegrass, but country. And I love rockabilly, but you can't. We're big on blues. We're huge. We're like one of the biggest states anywhere for blues. And we're big on country. You can go, if I wanted to see country, I could drive 10 miles in any direction and probably find a bar that had some sort of country music going. If I wanted to see rockabilly, I might be able to drive to Portland, but I doubt it. Most of the time, I'm going to have to go all the way to Seattle, about 250 miles. Toronto's getting way too busy. Are they getting bigger? I've seen one thing by Billy Strings. He does look interesting, yeah. What's GU, Gussie? That's a university, I'm guessing. Uh, well, Oregon's really weird. It's a huge state, and and everything you see about Oregon is how green and the forest, and that's all on the west side. When you go to the east side, it's a high desert. From the middle of the state, Central Oregon starts is where it kind of starts, and from east there goes to kind of a high desert. Lots of some valleys out there and stuff like that. And but on Western Oregon, where Portland, Salem, Eugene is, that's where everybody lives. So our population in Oregon is about, I think, over 3 million now, three and a half. So we've grown a lot. Portland is probably, I haven't looked for a long time. It used to be 400, so I'm guessing they're well over 500,000. Portland is limited because it's surrounded by a lot of other cities. So if you take in that 3 to 3.5 million people in Oregon, all those cities around Portland, Beaverton and Oregon City, and all these, there's about 30 littler cities all around Portland that kind of keep it closed in. And that population, the total population there is about 2 million. It's about 2/3 of the entire state, I think. So, and where I'm at in Salem is, when we moved here when I was a little kid, it was 52,000, and now it's 150-ish. It's the second biggest city in Oregon. And the surrounding area of Salem has almost as many people as the city, so you're at about almost at 250, 300,000 and that county, and then there's more small cities. So from Portland, Portland's very crowded, and it's all highways and all that. As soon as you go south of Portland, you start to see farmland again till you get to Salem, and then it kind of gets messy again. And then you get south of Salem, and you get to farmland, and then you get on down towards Eugene, and it gets crowded again. So Toronto sounds pretty interesting. I would love to. I would love to tour Canada someday. Deja, when you talk about Emerald City guitars, where are you talking about? The city of Eugene here in Oregon, we called Emerald City, or they call it. Everybody has a nickname. I don't know what Portland's is. Salem is the cherry city because we were the biggest manufacturer of cherries for years and all sorts of fruit around the Salem area. In fact, we made more maraschino cherries than anybody in the world back in the old days. I didn't know that. So Emerald City guitars, where are they from? I imagine there's about 10 Emerald Cities in the world, at least. Well, Portland one in Emerald City, and it's called Emerald City Guitar. No, I don't know that one offhand. It doesn't ring a bell. I mean, when you say Emerald City right away, I thought about Eugene. Eugene has a place called McKenzie River Music, which is in Seattle. Yeah, see, up in Washington, there's an Emerald. I don't know if Seattle's the Emerald City or somehow I was thinking somewhere in the central Washington was. Yeah, I haven't been up to Portland. Had a place called Apple Music. Long time, long standing. Might have been there before Apple Records. I don't know. Or they named it right at the same time. And that guy bought every guitar he could find back in the 60s. He must have had money to begin with or something. He had every antique vintage guitar imaginable, and he had them hanging on it was a big warehouse. He finally went out of business. I really miss him. But Apple Music in Portland, and then next door was their. I'm going to get it out of order. Next door was their acoustic shop because the big warehouse was just guitars and amps, and then next to the acoustic shop was the drum shop, and those were smaller. But I mean, Fender Guru, thank you. Are you taking off? I will see you. Are you doing a show tomorrow night, Guru? Yes, Gussie, I did. My first guitar I ever bought was I paid 100. Everybody's heard this story, so stop me if I bore you. I'll make it real quick. The first guitar I ever bought, I paid $125. It was a Fender Stratocaster, and it was my oldest brother's 1962. And I played it for a few years and turned around and sold it for 150, 25 bucks, just like that. So a 1962 Strat was the first actual six-string guitar I owned, and yeah, that would be one piece of vintage. But I owned, I had a 60. I don't know what it was actually. We didn't worry about what year it was. It's just did it play good and look good. 66 Jaguar. I think I may have bought my oldest brother's 62 jazz bass from him. I don't recall if I ever did or not. I played it a lot. I know that. There's I missed him again. The Mr. Mosquito See if he shows up in the film. He was right about here. See if it was able to focus on him. Yeah, so, yeah, okay, so we'll see you tomorrow night. The other ones I had, I mean, I had a Gibson ES 150 and an ES 125 and an L50. L50 was a 48. I always get the 125. I think the 150 was it a 51 or a 52? No, I can't remember. And the 125 was a later year, and I had those. I was just too nervous to own them. You know, are they going to dry out? Are they going to the wood gonna? They'd already had repairs on a couple of them. You know, and those you could buy ES 150s probably 10 years ago, certainly 15 years ago. You could buy them for $800 to $1,000 day in and day out. You know, in good to great condition. Good. Whoa. Pretty good to very good condition, actually. And, you know, those all sell. ES 150s, the Charlie Christian model. Those all sell for. I see them for $2,000, and that's in pretty bad condition. Yeah, so, you know, I was buying gear back even in high school, and then certainly once I got out of high school and into college and had a job and all that, I had a lot of Guild acoustics, Guild F. I can never remember the numbers. The big hollow body, the John Denver acoustic by Guild, and then I had the smaller Guilds, Gibson Hummingbird, Gibson J45, I think it was. So yeah, a lot of gear has come and gone. The stuff I own now, I wouldn't call any of my stuff that I have now as vintage. It's all pretty recent from late 90s on, you know, so. Well, your 76 Les Paul is, you know, have you priced it? Have you looked up what they go for now, Gussie? I would, as time goes on, that stuff just all of a sudden, you know, as a kid, when Fender sold to CBS, everybody said, it's all going downhill, you know, and we don't want anything to do with that junk, you know, and I didn't know, I never really heard what made it junk or why people said that at all, but now you look, and even the CBS stuff is sold as if it's highly sought after, you know. Wasn't when I was a kid. When I was a kid, people. Oh, Gussie, I bet. Yeah. Well, Gussie, think of this. That's just 16 years older than a 59. Just think about another 5 to 10 more years, and people will be saying, "Holy smokes, he owns a 75." Yeah, yeah. There's not too many I wish I would have held on to. Um, I don't do I don't do well with really old vintage. I worry about them. And when I had really nice guitars, I had like Gibson ES newer ones, ES 165 and 137 customs. And when I played them, even this one, I hear I've been banging it around. It's probably more. I don't even play this hardly ever, but I tend to, if I'm recording with it, I tend to sit very stiff because I'm so afraid I'm going to scratch it or something. So, you know, if you watch my last video, I had a 1994 made in Mexico Stratocaster. That's I play that guitar all day long. I don't care if I beat it to heck, you know. So 1100. Wow, that was that was probably that's a good price. Yeah, I mean, back in the early 70s, I was buying like that Jaguar. I think I paid $250 for it. So I should probably make a list of all the guitars train is here. That's once a day where it's noisy. Yeah. Oh, the Echoplex. You know, we had those back in the day, and a couple of friends I knew that had them. And um, we never knew how to replace the tapes on them or anything. We didn't know what to do with them. But your 71 Fender Reverb, that's a standalone tank you're talking about, right? Or an amp. I would love to have a standalone Fender Reverb tank. Huh. I had my train whistle here. I've misplaced it, knocked it off somewhere. Oh, the actual amp. Oh, 4x10 combo, cool. I'm a big Hank Sr. fan too. And since I love jazz, I don't know if you ever, the great Joe Pass, a great jazz player, did an album with Roy Clark. I have it somewhere. I have the CD. Doing old Hank Williams Sr. songs. And of course, Joe plays them. Roy Clark plays them in the country kind of country swing style, and Joe plays them in the jazz style. It's really a fascinating album. Yeah. So we had a guy that did a whole Hank Williams Sr. It was a tribute band. The guy looked like him, and man, he was really good. And it was one of those free concerts in the park. I don't remember the name, but they were from somewhere around here. Yeah. Roy Clark was great. Yeah, I got to see him live twice in one day at the state fair. Yeah, I mean, I didn't had no intent to go there and see a Roy Clark country guy. Forget about it. And I was there, and we were there, and I said, well, you know, we're here. We may as well see what is. You know, let's go watch. And so we watched him in the afternoon show, and I was like, holy smokes, that guy's good. Yeah, and he did a song on banjo and mandolin, I think fiddle, and then he was good enough. I said, well, let's go look at some of the artwork and the art and photography stuff, and then we'll have dinner here. Finagled my way and said, hey, Roy's playing again for the evening show. Let's go see him again. So we got to see him twice. So. Yes, Robert Cray used to play in local bars around here. I saw him at one in here in Salem called Boone's Treasury, and another great guitar player from Portland named Terry Robin. We would joke about like, uh, um, yeah. Oh, Roy Clark was an expert. Yes, he was great on all. He mostly played guitar. He'd do like one song on each other instrument, but and he was incredibly good on all of them. But that's, you know, that's part of his culture and how he grew up, as I remember his thing. But Robert Cray, yes, and so we used to say, well, who do you think these guys are so good? Which one's going to get famous first, Robert Cray or Terry Robb? Terry Robb is still in Portland playing. He should be world class, world renowned finger picker, acoustic, mostly blues, but not all blues. He'll also do electric stuff. He's just phenomenal. But Robert Cray made it really big, and yeah, he played when he went to college in Eugene at the University of Oregon, and I don't think he was from here. I think he was from somewhere else, but he went to college here, as I understand. And so we would see him at a little bar, you know. I saw him down in Eugene too. Uh, the last time I saw him was at our blues fest. We have a huge blues fest up in Portland. Well, most years, and of course he was like one of the headliners. It's like, wow, how times have changed, you know. Where am I? Yeah, I think he did do some work with John Fahey. Yeah, John Fahey in his later years lived right here in Salem. He had a relative, and he ended up moving here. And I saw John Fahey at that same bar that I was talking about in Salem, Boone's Treasury. And I never got to meet him. I always wanted. I don't think he had an interesting personality, as I understand it. And I remember being in a guitar shop, and the guy was talking to the owner. And I was listening in and thinking, wow, this guy knows his stuff, and it's really an interesting discussion, but I didn't want to interrupt. And the guy left and left the store. And the store owner was blah 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 blah, John Fahey. And I said, "Oh man, I would love to meet John Fahey." And he said, you were just here. Why didn't you introduce yourself?" Yeah, so it was like that was John Fahey. I just didn't recognize him, you know. So he was uh, he was an interesting person, as I understand. And we kind of grew up before he even moved to Salem. In high school, that Christmas record we thought was that was for our generation a different sort of Christmas record that we adopted. I love John Hyatt. I think John Hyatt is great. I don't know any of his stuff. I mean, I don't do it. I don't mess around with. But yeah, the stuff I've seen of John Hyatt, I really like. So yeah, yeah. Martin Sexton, and that is what type of Merrill? I missed it. What type of music is John Sexton? Is he kind of singer songwriter roots kind of stuff? Yeah, R.L. Burnside. I think I saw him a couple times. As I recall, he had, excuse me, I'm dropping things all over the place here. So I recall, he had moved to Portland, as I recall. I don't, and I think as I remember, he was at the Blues Fest at least once, if not twice. Yeah, I kind of, in the late 60s, we all learned that. I took my bass runs or my blues and turned it into folky. There were coffee houses everywhere where you could go and get a cup of real brewed coffee or some herbal teas that, before herbal teas were popular. Martin Sexton album called The American. Okay, I gotta, I gotta look that up. See, I get great ideas here. I think, are you back? Gussie, you're talking. Are you back with Hank Williams Sr.? Yeah, didn't he die? Pretty much die of his alcoholism in the back of a car or something like that. Smiley Bates. That sounds like an interesting name. Oh, R.L. Burnside. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. So you opened for him. Wow. Yeah. I don't know what we're doing now. I think next to the New Orleans Jazz and Blues show, we have the biggest blues fest in the nation in Portland. I don't go anymore. It's like it's too confined of an area. It's a waterfront park, which is a huge park, and they could expand it out, but it's like 50,000 people a day. And the last couple times I went, it was just person to person walking. One line going this way and the other line going that way, and you better stay in your line or, yeah. Oh, it's in his museum. Oh, I didn't know that. Wow, that's cool. Wow. For the Philadelphia Folk Fest. Wow. I got to go back and I should be writing these names, some of the names down here. But RL, I think the only one I didn't know. Well, I don't know Smiley Bates. I need to go back and I'll go back later and watch and see. So, so Hippie, I got. I'm going to be downloading another video or uploading another video, and Junior Kimbrough. I know that name. I know I've heard him, but I can't place his music right now. Bluesy, I think. I got to see a lot of times going to the Blues Fest. It's not the big names. The one of the really great things I saw Johnny Winter in his older years, about a year, literally a year and a half before he passed away. But the guy that opened right before him, that was on the south stage, north stage, they got two stages and they just A B back and forth, so there's no lag time at all. was a guy named Greg Koch. And he had the crowd eating out of the palm of his hand at about the 15-second mark. He was so good. And I actually, I loved Johnny Winter. I thought he was good, but I kind of felt sorry for him that he had to come on after Greg Koch, because Greg he just turned it on and went from, he can go from 0 to 60. He went from 60 to 120 in seconds, you know. And Johnny Winter was very good. I can't take anything away from him, but the whole time I was watching the great Johnny Winter, I was thinking, wow, Greg Koch was sure good, you know. And so sometimes you see people that are, now I'd seen Greg Koch. I was very fortunate that he came to a little festival on the Fender Roadshow with Roscoe Beck. So I got to meet him and Roscoe briefly. And then he was at a local music store doing a Hal Leonard show and tell. And he's well worth. If you ever get he's got the Koch Marshall Trio now, and if you ever get a chance to see, I've not seen them, but I've heard him here on YouTube. If you get a chance to see him, do. I did not bring. Man, my allergies. This is the peak of the allergy season, and today it's been almost all in my eyes. And then about every 3 hours, I just start sneezing for 15 minutes, and then it kind of goes away for a while. Oh, Hippie, I will look that back up. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, I got a little show button. I didn't know what that meant. Very cool. I will look that up. How was I first exposed to Danny Gatton? I don't remember. I kind of knew that name and didn't know much about him. I know Roy Buchanan. I actually discovered after Danny Gatton. I kind of knew who Roy Buchanan was, but I didn't know how good he was. And cool. I like that. Sometimes in chats you can't put in um, an address like that. So that's very cool that you can on StreamYard. I like that. Ah, Coco Taylor. Yeah, I remember her. Yeah, yeah. So sometimes at the Blues Fest, it's not the big names. They bring in people like you know Eric Burden and the Animals, the New Animals, and Booker T and the MGs saw him twice. They were actually without Steve Cropper. Well, Steve Cropper I think actually made an appearance on one of them, but we're losing a lot of them. Yeah, that's what's sad. Luther Allison was one of my favorites. Well, Bugs Henderson was one of my all-time favorite. He passed away about probably 8, 9 years ago. I think. Um, so Danny Gatton, I don't remember. I know I got some of his CDs. I don't remember when I was first exposed to him or how. I just um, heard the music. Oh, I might have been. It was internet times. It was probably pre-YouTube, but I was on Harmony Central in their chat rooms years ago, and there was a guy that would chat in the chat rooms named Bill Hullett, and I think that's his name. And I just over time I had great respect for the. I'd never heard him, but I realized how he was chatting. I thought, man, this guy knows his stuff. I got respect for this guy, and so it's funny how you can kind of cross paths with people that are quite well known. And so somebody chatted me one time. I said, "You were talking to Bill Hullett the other day." I said, "Yeah, yeah, I know him. He's on the chat." He said, "You know who he is?" And I said, "No, he's like one of Nashville's top call guys. You know, this was years ago." And so I looked Bill Hullett up, and then I got his CD, and the guy's he's a Telecaster. So I very likely found in the early days of the internet through a chat room through Bill Hullett, who was talked about Danny Gatton, and he probably talked about Roy Buchanan too. But it's interesting how you can come across some people that are, they're not famous, but they're well known. Bill Hullett was highly respected. I don't know if he's still with us or not, but yeah, Arvin, there's parts of our Blues Fest that are like that too. They'll bring in other kind of non-blues, especially on the side stages. They have two main stages, and then they have a smaller stage, and then they have a workshop stage and all that kind of. Well, I saw Monty Montgomery on the side stage as kind of a little guy, no name act. I don't know if you know who any of you guys know who Monty Montgomery. He plays an acoustic guitar as if it's an electric, and he is truly amazing. Terry Himes, how are you, sir? Good to see you. Yeah, so Monty Montgomery, look him up if you don't know who he is. He's Phil McKnight's favorite player, also, and he's definitely on my top of my list. He'd be on my for living people. He'd be on my top five probably. Although I haven't heard much from him lately. So um, Terry Himes, we're talking everything, and we're talking blues and Hank Williams Sr. and Coco Taylor and people I've not heard of. I don't. I like I said. I remember seeing him, as I recall, at the Blues Fest. I think, but I don't have any of his albums or CDs or any of that stuff. I think he had, for some reason, I want to say he had moved to Portland actually, and I know his son is. I don't remember his son's name. Burnside. I think it's his son or grandson. Cedric Burnside. I think that's the name. Yes, I believe so. I believe so. I don't think. I don't know that he's in Portland though. I think. I only. I just came across something on him the other day. Yeah. When Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans, they started doing Zydeco fundraisers for Katrina musicians in relief, and it was a great idea. I mean, I think they really raised some serious money, and so that side stage was all Zydeco for a couple of years, and it's still quite heavy. And a little of that for me goes a long ways. You know, I understand as a kind of as the fundraiser they were doing it, but I would go there all the time. I think they just need to expand the grounds and limit the number of people. It, it's it's still quite a heavy blues fest. It's still heavily laden with blues, but more importantly, it's a beer fest, and they have always advertised it as family friendly. And if I was a younger person with kids right now, there's no way I would be taking kids to that blues fest to hear music. It's just far too much alcohol flowing there. So, and I don't want to be around, you know, if people were limited in some fashion, there's just enough people that just don't have any limits, unfortunately. And so you see people, and you know, then come the fights and all that kind of stuff. And I have no interest in being around that. That's why I don't go to bars hardly anymore. When I do, it's strictly on business to go listen to live music, and I sit way in the back, away from. So, yeah, I have that too, hippie. I always said I wish I could. They probably make one, some program that'll change your keyboard, and you could designate. Because I'm always one letter off of some things. I think, why don't I just, if I could just make that letter be the letter I most commonly use. Yeah, I didn't know. They used to say with dyslexia, you're either dyslexic or you weren't, and you couldn't. And I had mentioned I worked with because I worked in healthcare. I'd worked with a guy who really knew a lot about dyslexia, and he said, "Well, you know, anybody has trouble with numbers being dyslexic, they're dyslexic with reading as well." And I wasn't. I read just fine, but when I took accounting in college, and the accounting teacher after the first term said, "Look, you're getting a grade. You're getting out of here. Don't take term two. You are clearly numerically dyslexic." And it wasn't until years later that they identified that some people, you know, if you tell me the number's 413, sure, I understand 431, no problem, you know. And so, and as I've gotten older, it's not supposed to be that way according to I become a little bit dyslexic reading wise. I'll misread, I'll twist some words and kind of, so I have to be really careful when I'm reading now. Didn't have to be when I was younger. I've been going an hour and 43 minutes. Well, I thought I would. I got to get an alarm, a big bell that goes dong dong dong. I always say I want to just run an hour, and then I end up going way over. I had no idea. Hour. Wow, I thought, oh man, I bet I'm over. I bet I'm an hour and 15 minutes, an hour and 44 minutes. Holy smokes, folks. Well, I am going to cut us off right about here and say good night. Happy Friday night. Saturday morning for most everybody. But I'm doing a little of that now. I never did that from college on until just in recent years, hippie. Yeah. That may be a process of getting older. I don't know. Yeah, get some guitar going. If you're going to have them over, man, get some guitar going. Well, I appreciate you folks hanging out. I'm going to take us out of here, and I hope you all have a good Saturday. Get some sleep, get some rest. It's the blue hour. This would be about the time I'd be packing up. Well, no, a little early. Back in the old days, we'd be packing up and headed to the Chinese restaurant, which for some reason I always thought of as, I just, the dark, thought of it as the blue hour, even though, I don't know, it makes no sense to me either. So, okay, we'll talk to you all later. We'll see what we got here. We got a screwy note, right? Talk to you all later. Have a good night. Have a good weekend.